Hey traders, Raghee here, and in this free video we're going to recap a handful of symbols that are on my radar that we are looking for entries in as the market's pulling back. Now every day we seem to have ping-ponging headlines, sound bites, tweets about the ongoing US-China relationship, but realize this: both sides want to return back to their constituents, if you will, with good news. I still think there's a higher probability, there's more of a chance of a panic buying scenario than panic selling. Now, obviously, every time we hear things like endgame, every time we hear things like no more concessions, like we have today after the bell, the market does sell off. But every time there's an opportunity to punch up to a higher high or rally very strongly on positive news, the market's much more willing to do that than sell off. There's almost a, kind of this a grudgingly sell off type feeling on the downside. Now, all that's just sort of gut, right? Let's talk about what we can actually measure. And what we can measure, and you can see it here in front of you, is the uptrend on the NASDAQ, the uptrend on the S&P, and how I gauge these uptrends are by just the sea of green grab candles that persist, and even the sporadic propulsion dots, meaning two exponential moving averages have crossed higher, and that does give me a certain amount of bullish, what we call propulsion, bullish indication about what this market may want to do. So when we see green dots like this, that's the way in which I mark with that indicator, the way in which the 8 exponential moving average and the 21 are interacting. That's bullish. That's the 8 crossing up through the 21. So do I mind a handful of blue grab candles? Well, I'll tell you, the last 2 times that we pull back into the wave, I got long. So let me ask you, do you think I'm going to do it again? I am, but there's one thing I want everyone to be cognizant of, is this is a very different level from which we're buying into a pullback. So there is a certain ceiling, and I know to get really good follow through, this market's going to have to punch up to higher highs. I do believe the path to higher highs is the path of least resistance, and unless you have that bias, a pullback like we're looking at right now might seem uncomfortable. But let me show you something here. If you buy the pullback, what you have the choice to do, and this is a really important facet of the way that I like to swing trade. This is a correction. Let me show you, I'll show you an image that I share with members here in a moment. But when I buy a pullback like this, which I am mostly with call options and either QQQ or the NQ futures, if the market does nothing but retrace its steps from a move like this, that still gives me roughly a 150 point upside without requiring new highs. The second profit target can be up in what we call blue sky, but the first profit target can simply be retracing our steps. Now let me show you here, it's a little image that I share with members, and here it is. Swing trading. What is a swing? A swing is synonymous with a correction. This to me is a swing. Now, for those of you out there who have been taught a swing is a trade that lasts, I don't know, what is it, 3 to 5 days or whatever it is, I've never subscribed to that for the entirety of my career. This is this: a retracement, a pullback, a correction, a reversion, a retreat. That's what a swing is to me. That's what this is. And that's what we're getting right now on the S&P and the NASDAQ. And preferably, it's a swing of an overall uptrend. So to me, buy the dip is really synonymous. I mean, we could put BTD here, right? BTD buy the dip is applicable as long as we have an overall uptrend, which I believe we do on the S&P and the NASDAQ. So this is a buying opportunity, but let me share something else with you. This is a relative performance study we do. We'll talk more about the individual names in the premium video, but put Microsoft, put Apple on the watch list. Even Facebook, it's a little aggressive right now, but even Facebook can be on the watch list. And what I'm looking for is the same thing I'm looking for in the NAS. Let's get a quick pullback, and I'll build a position via long calls in these names. I'd like Facebook to pull back to at least the 21 or the 34 EMA, but it's the same idea. So this is what we're looking to take advantage of. Keep in mind, we're coming up on potentially what could be the pit bull low. We are in a geopolitical environment where all parties involved are better off going home with some kind of agreement. We know the market wants to rally on that. There's a lot here that could instigate panic buying. So think about that as you're building your positions into some of this weakness, into some of these pullbacks, and I'll see you in the next update.